Those first few days, weeks, months in Alamosa were busy, busy, busy. Had to get the office moved from the courthouse, where I apparently had been for a number of years, but the lease was up and they weren't going to renew it, so we had to relocate. And the location, as mentioned, was in the northwest corner, upstairs, Central Elementary. You could access it through the school, or there was a fire escape at the back, and that was the usual route was used, I suppose, to minimize the amount of intrusion on the elementary school. The high school was new, and the football field had not been started and was a high priority. I can't remember if we got it done to where any games or all the games were played at the new high school site or not, but I remember it took a lot of time and a lot of talking to figure out how to get the job done to get the new football field built. And Jones Construction, Jones that had the swimming pool, did the work, and did very, very good work in my opinion. And in the process met Butch Jones, who eventually was a key teacher for us. The junior high, old building that was in really bad shape. Mr. Kozowski, as head of the Buildings and Grounds, raised questions as to its safety, and we got some professional help in to look at it, and got a pretty good bill of health on the safety issues, and got some advice and help on how to clean it up and paint it up and make it a more attractive place for our junior high students to go to school. Again, a real time taker. And of course, we were right hot on getting those buses checked out mechanically, and we bought a lot of tires. And I'm proud to say that I believe Mr. Kozowski could have changed before school started and say, yes, I think I can guarantee that the buses will make those first routes. Meeting Ike Ortega and Mrs. Ortega was a pleasure. I'm not sure that Ike grew up in the San Luis Valley, but he sure would have given me the impression that he had that this was home. As principal of Boyd Elementary, the school that had by far the heaviest percentage of Mexican American students, he let me know that he felt it was one of his duties to educate new superintendents, shape us up, get us into the know, so that we would know how to do our jobs. Done with a sense of humor, also done as a way of letting you know, hey, I'm in the power structure, and don't forget it. Never did either. Mrs. Ortega, what a nice lady. What a nice lady. We were privileged to be in their home a number of times, and it was always a joy and a comfort to be there. Never had been too impressed with the idea of a school nurse until I met Virginia West, the Alamosa school nurse. What a lady. What a lady. Didn't take you long to realize that here is a person that really contributes to the health and welfare of this entire school district. And she was officed out of the administration building, so that on an ordinary school day you'd see her at least once or twice in the process of just being at work. Mr. Mortensen, the gentleman that had managed to offend Mr. Kajowski to the point that we'd had that sharp exchange that, hey, you cannot speak that way about a principal in this office, whether you think it's the way it is or not. And I have to give Leonard credit that once we got that settled, he never used that kind of language in referring to a principal again. I'm not saying he didn't have some of the same thoughts again. I'd never before really run into the fact that, hey, there's a real conflict sometimes between what a principal thinks and does in his building and what a supervisor of buildings and grounds thinks ought to be done for safety, security, good heating, etc., etc. Roland Crowder. Roland Crowder, principal and teacher, out at the Waverly School, the country school. The school that, as time went by, I came to understand that many people thought was the best place to go to school for your grade school experience in the Alamosa school system. Roland Crowder, who was a great teacher and a great administrator, and who harbored a deep desire to go back to being a basketball coach, or to be one, I don't know if he ever had. That I know at one time when we thought we were going to have an opening, I could feel the temptation in that man to give up the other for the insecurity, the challenge, the conflicts of being the basketball coach. As time went by, our son Roy was fortunate through Adams State to be assigned to Mr. Crowder as a student teacher, and Roy's turned out to be a really fine teacher and now a fine principal for years and years and years. And I think a lot of that goes back to being under the tutelage of Roland Crowder. Incidentally, Roland's son John was on the basketball team at the high school and later was a coach in the San Luis Valley and won championship after championship with girls teams. A lot of nice people, a lot of hard-working, honest people, not only in the community, but lots and lots of them, members of the staff in one capacity or another for the Alamosa schools.